Dennis, at the age of 15, he enlists in the British Army and he becomes a cook.
I thought you was just saying some sort of weird word then.
Cook?
Yeah.
No.
Cook.
I just pronounced it odd. He became a chef in the army, is essentially what he became. The first 3 years while he was in the army, he spent undergoing training at the Aldershot Barracks in southern England. I don't know where that necessarily is.
Southern England?
Southern England, but I don't know. My geography is terrible. This was apparently a happy time for Dennis, who, according to a certain book that I have not included the title of here, thrived on the hard work, discipline, and camaraderie of the army life. So this is one of those moments where he did actually start to feel not so much alone. So because of all the friendships and things there.
So he actually felt wanted in a way.
Yeah, he felt a part of something. But, you got to think this guy's gone, we're now skipping the story quite quickly, but there's been like a whole 10 years of him feeling super alone there. So 10 years go by feeling like that, and then he finds the army. The only thing is, though, he does start to fancy a couple of his army pals. He does, and he starts doing this really weird thing. Not the weirdest thing he'll do in his life by far, but apparently, while they would when they would be having drinks.
Okay.
So they would be throwing a little shindig at the army barracks, and all the lads would be having a few brewskis. He would sort of pretend to be more drunk than he was. And he would sort of lie provocatively and secretly wish that one of those straight boys would just come and take his little ass.
When you say he was lying provocatively, was he fully dressed or was he...
I don't know. It doesn't go into that much of a detail. It just pretty much says that he's a thirsty bitch and he's looking for a straight guy.
It's like, you wouldn't just walk into... Have you seen just one of the street army guys just walking into the barracks?
Yeah. And
just seeing him sprawled, like spread eagle.
Legs akimbo.
Naked on a bed.
But I'm so drunk. I really hope nobody fucks me right now. I'd really hate that. I'm guessing that's my image of it anyway.
Okay.
But yeah, he was not taken up on the offer, unfortunately, for him.
Not surprised, to be fair.
No, I mean, looking at, if I could show you a picture, I'll show you some pictures of him later. I did have some prepared, but the computer's gone off. He's fine looking. Like, at this point in his life, he's fine. Like, there's,
okay,
just very average looking at this stage. He does grow and look a bit creepier later on in life. So yeah, after being a thirsty bitch, he also said that during the army, and this is, again, take it with a pinch of salt, because this is from him, so I don't know if this is true or not. He says that he had many sexual encounters with men during his time in the army. I think this is while he was traveling around.
Okay.
So he mentions a Bavarian prostitute, or Bavarian sex worker, I think is the real term for...
you can't say prostitute.
I mean, well, you can, but you really shouldn't. And
sex worker.
I also trimmed this down because the person who I copied and pasted this from used a term which I would not repeat. But I've put a young Arabian boy. There was a racial term which is very outdated that was included in the original section, so I think that article was a little old. But yeah, it was while he was actually in the Middle East, he started to find himself with another fun little pastime, which, again, isn't the weirdest thing this guy's going to do, but it's pretty high up there in the weirdometer. He would cover himself with talc, blew up his lips, and then masturbate while staring into a mirror.
Blew up his... What do you mean he's blew up his lips?
Blue as in, like, he would, like, make them look blue.
Oh, right, okay. What would be the point in that?
Well, you'll we'll sort of figure this out. But this is the first time I've put down here that this is the first time potentially which he's beginning to link two very different things that should never go together, which is sex and death.
Okay.
Sex and death is very much the chocolate and cheese of the hobby and interest world. I mean, you can mix them technically. I mean, physically you can, but you really shouldn't mix those things.
Is it the sadomasochism? Is that what it is?
No, this is well, there's a bit of that. There's a bit of everything in there. He's a real cocktail of
weirdness, basically.
Strangeness, this guy, yeah. So yeah, Army, he's having a lovely time. He's covered in talc. He's having a wank in the mirror, and he's being a right little sleaze, getting drunk and showing his bum around. I'm just imagining walking around the army camp like with his t-shirt tied up, you know, like a crop top.
Like a knot.
Yeah, like it's like, so he's looking like a Daisy Duke type thing. Like, hey. That's my version of him anyway.
With his shorts on.
Yeah, which is fine if you want to do that. Yeah. So towards the end of his army career, Dennis was now a corporal. So he had sucked his way to the top. No, he didn't suck his way to the top. He must have been all right at his job.
Yeah.
He was a very, like I say, he was a very disciplined man, and he was very I was going to say anal, but that's probably not the best word for it.
If he was anal,
I'd say that. Yeah, he's very anal, and he's his focus was there. So he was a corporal, and he received a posting to the Shetland Islands, where he fell in love with an 18-year-old private. Not an 18-year-old's private. No, well, I guess it's one and the same in this situation. There was a book that was made where apparently this guy was called Terry. I'm not really sure. Couldn't find any more people to, articles that would confirm that name. But for this purpose, we're going to call him Terry. Terry was apparently straight, but he was really cool with the whole gay thing. And he even posed for some movies that Dennis made. Terry would sort of lie on the... Are you pouring a glass of wine?
Maybe.
So that was awfully distracting.
Sorry.
Yeah, Terry would lie on the bed and lie still, and he would film. Dennis would film him. I found online, and you guys at home can probably give these a Google as well if you fancy at any point. But there are some. Dennis did record home movies throughout the entirety of his life.
And you can find them on Google.
Well, yeah, because none of them are
sexual.
Yeah,
okay.
They're not sexual, and he doesn't record anything that we'll get to later. They're just sort of like home movies, but they have just an era of creepiness to them.
I can imagine it would do, because you'd know the fact of what he's done.
Yeah, and I'll describe them in a bit more detail later, but for this particular one, where they say about the home movie that I guess this Terry guy to do, he does a very similar thing later on with another dude, and essentially he is lying on the bed, and then the camera starts at the feet, and then it pans slowly up the bed to his face, and that is what he wanted on the film. I'm guessing he's making like some weird porn where he's imagining this guy's dead or whatever, but so
could it possibly link with what he did with his brother?
Yeah. You can sort of the dots are appearing, and you can connect them quite clearly with this.
So I've kind of hit something with the nail on the head, sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and these dots, more of them will appear throughout this story, and you can, that there is a definite chain of events that you could possibly link together as to how this is all linked to the first thing of his granddad all the way down.
Oh, okay.
Kind of. The guy, Terry, though, he was cool at making the movies, but he, like I say, he was straight, so he wasn't down for the D. Dennis wasn't too happy about that situation, and after a while it became really difficult for him to deal with this sort of unrequited love that he had for Taryn. He was so fuming, in fact, that he took all the movies and burnt them to buggery. That's my phrasing, by the way. He burnt them all.
Why?
He was so angry with him. He was just like, you don't love me, I'm going to burn all of our films, I don't want nothing to do with you.
So was he making them films thinking that they was a couple and that was like the memory sort of thing? Or
I think so. I think maybe he was like, he probably did this, the thing. I think as gay dudes, we probably all had it where we may have had straight friends and we've probably looked too far into things and thought there were signs being given out, which they definitely were not. But the difference is Dennis reacted to it terribly. He was not happy with the situation at all. So he just essentially, I think in my head, the way I see it is that he just wants to get rid of any memory of him. Yeah. So he was he destroyed the movies, and his army career lasted 11 years and 3 months. And apparently,
that's pretty good going, isn't it?
That is really good, actually. I forgot about that little factoid. 11 years and 3 months, that's a really good going. And he was actually promised even more things after that. So it says here, an even more rewarding career was an offer for his taking. But Dennis became disillusioned with the army's participation in Northern Ireland and left the army bitter about the politics of the time.
Okay.
So yeah, he was so annoyed with how they were dealing with Northern Ireland, and rightly so. He left. He returned home for about 5 weeks and returned to the household he grew up in with his mum, Betty.
Betty White.
Betty White.
Not Golden Girls Betty.
No, not Golden Girls Betty. Betty, again, had now remarried and was living with her second husband, so she is a very popular lady. Well, not so much. This is
only another one person.
Yeah, this is another one person, and I just realised that, this is like 20-something years that's gone by in this story.
Yeah.
20, that's not that much at all, to be honest with you. Her second husband was called Adam Scott, and while he was home on Christmas Day one year, the family was sitting down to watch a documentary about homosexuality, which is... I don't get why that would be on the list for Christmas Day. It's not the go-to, Home Alone or A Wonderful Life.
Just watch the Queen's speech and then watch the Queen's speech.
Yeah, the Queen's speech, and then a documentary about homosexuality. The other thing as well is, this is before streaming services and, Sky TV and everything, where people could watch anything. So what TV channel was showing this on Christmas Day?
Wouldn't be just 1, 2 and 3, BBC 1 and 2, and then 3.
I don't know. This sounds like a Channel 4 thing to me. It really is. Yeah, so either way, this was on TV, and there's a documentary about homosexuality. Probably for the time, it was probably just people bad-mouthing homosexuals.
Yeah.
Considering the times, they probably weren't, speaking very highly of us. Dennis, he had a row with his brother, who said it was wrong. So Dennis's brother was very much like, "Nah, don't be gay. It's bad. Go to hell." And Dennis was like, "No, it's good.
Okay.
No, it's amazing.
No, it's good.
No, it's good." Yeah. So apparently the argument actually got so bad that the two of them never spoke ever again.
Oh.
So that's the last we're going to hear of Dennis's brother. Not in terms of a death.
No,
he's not irrelevant to the story anymore. But again, it's painting that picture of
where he's going in his life.
Yeah, and the way he is with people, and he's any relationship that he's had so far, if you think about it, they've all gone. Any meaningful relationship with anyone, apart from his mum, really is gone completely. In 1972, Dennis enrolled in the Metropolitan Police. So he's actually a busy. He's a boy in blue. There is again a photograph I was going to show you, but the computer did go off. To be honest, he looks quite handsome in the uniform. He's got one of them sort of old school Bobby's hats on.
What, the hard hat ones?
Yeah, the big ones. Yeah, the ones that you used to see in